Yes, people of the world, and we're back again
What's up?
with Where the Key's At. Today, subject, we're going to talk about the power of choice, life lessons, and famous people making their decisions.
Yeah, damn right.
And we'll start off with, how has your power of choice influenced you today? Today we have Eli.
What's up, everyone? How you doing? I'm just kissing my teeth thinking about power of choice. I'm thinking, what's this power you're talking about?
No pressure. And we'll have some guests joining later on.
Yeah. Let's just be honest. We had some guests who turn up late, coming later on today. You know how some people are. Some people ain't on time. So you know who you are.
Yeah.
So what's up? What's on your mind, Gav?
Me? I just want to talk about how people need to read contracts and also learn about what specialty and niche they want to go into in life. Those kind of things. Because you got famous people that know what they want to do.
Yeah.
And then you have some people that are kind of weary. But the important thing is to learn from other people's mistakes so they don't become your future.
Yeah. And hip hop, I think in general, has got some brilliant stories when it comes to contracts.
Yeah. 360 deals and all that, you know, how Puff owns everybody's publishing.
Did you hear about Mace? Is that what you're talking about?
What's he saying? Yeah.
So Mace is, I don't know how old this information is. I can't remember where I heard it or when I heard it. But Mace doesn't own his masters, obviously, which is fair enough. He was on a label. He was on Puff's label. But when Puff bought his publishing, so the publishing is your rights to the music, your rights to the replays and on air and whatnot, and you know the residuals from that music. But when Mace was new, he was writing for Bad Boy.
Yeah.
And then Puff said, you know what, if you need some money, I'm going to give you X amount of thousand and you sign your publishing to me and I'll own your publishing for X amount of years. And Mace was like 19, so I said, yeah, cool. Yeah. And I think Puff gave him 30,000 or something like that.
Wow.
And he owns Mace's publishing for another, I think it was 25 years he signed it for.
Yeah.
So it's like another 7 years or something left on that publishing. And Mace was saying, I want my publishing back. But on the flip side, he's like, I should have paid attention to what I was signing away because Puff gave me the stuff. And he told me to, you know, to look into it or whatever. Yeah. But the deep thing with that was Puff gave him his lawyer.
See. That if someone's playing both sides, you gotta look at that. Because who's the common denominator? The lawyer.
Yeah.
You know, like it's okay to send someone being a secret agent to go do for the other person. And then behind closed doors, you get a little back pay.
Yeah.
But it should be a lesson, them kind of things, and just kind of bring it on to, you know, people like Kanye and people of today. Even Ice Cube, everyone's kind of, I think people have seen Straight Outta Compton, you know, he didn't sign the contract. It was for a reason.
Yeah.
Because they basically held him against, okay, if you get this, then you get this much percentage. But he was young at the time, but he had his head screwed on to be like, okay, if it sounds like a too good to be true, then it probably is.
Yeah.
But the litigations of him signing a contract was after the fact, then he gets the check.
But do you know how much, for him, coming from where they came from, how much self-confidence and kind of realization of your power it takes, and a young person coming from a deprived background in a situation that looks so glamorous, that must be so difficult to do. Yeah. And they know the majority of young people ain't got that, especially poor young black people who are sold this image every day and do anything to get to that image. Yeah. They know they can come and just pick you up. And Ice Cube was, unfortunately, he was one in a million to not do that. And I bet after that, he probably still signed a bit of a janky contract.
Yeah, it's true. But
I bet he read it though.
He did. He's gonna have to at some point. But the I think the lesson is to understand the entirety of what you put your pen to paper with. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, there's only so much you could be naive to be like, okay, yeah, let the lawyers handle it. The lawyers is getting paid whether you do it or not. Yeah. So what exactly do you actually place value on? Yeah. Their opinion or your actual time and worth? Exactly. So it is a conundrum, but it still needs to be served there. You need to at least read what you're doing.
So what happened with the rest of the people in NWA then?
They already signed their contract, and what happened is that Eazy he owned the company, Ruthless Records. There was a fallout.
Oh, it was Jerry Heller, wasn't
it? Yeah. And Dr. Dre, he kind of find out that Cube was onto something afterwards, after the fact.
Right.
So that broke up NWA because Dre wanted it out, and he started Death Row. Yeah. And the rest is history on that side.
Look at Dre now. Contracts. Speaking of contracts.
Oh, the missus. Yeah.
That's another contract. The love contract.
Yeah.
And in America they do. I think we have prenuptials here, but they're not like common.
No.
But they have that whole, which I think is good. They treat marriage like a business arrangement, and you have a prenuptial agreement, and it's not frowned upon to talk about that before you get married.
Yeah.
They don't mix love with business. But I don't know if he had one or not. Did he not have one?
It's been debated. There's supposed to be one that he allegedly may have torn up or something like that. I can't confirm, but I do know
you tear it up. It don't matter. It's a contract. Like it doesn't.
I'm not sure if there's a copy. That's up in his lawyers. They will know better. But the negotiation is that the split is going to turn real nasty before it gets any better. At least for him, because he is more than just a name. Like his name is marketed. So when you think of Dr. Dre, you think of Beats by Dre. You think of his music. You think of his royalties and what he's built up over the last 20 years.
Yeah.
And
30 years.
Yeah, well, 30 years technically, but while he's been with her under marriage, those are the last kind of years. Cause
20 years, is it?
Yeah, something like that.
Because he wants like the rights or she wants his publishing, don't she? That's what she's going for. His publishing.
Because that's a check every month. It's a big check every month.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah. You get people there are artists out there that live off publishing. They don't even put music out no more.
Mariah Carey.
Sam
Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You makes her like $250,000 a year for nothing.
Every Christmas.
Every year.
Yeah.
How old's that song? 25 years old?
More than that, I think, technically. But yeah.
And that's crazy.
Yeah. But that's only one era. I just think that right now.
7 streams of income, man. Go on, Mariah. Sorry, Carey.
No, I was saying just right now, it is a case of if people understand like what I was saying, like the whole thing with business, transactions, life, lessons is one of those that it's got to come hand in hand.
Yeah.
Your income is only as good as your net worth and your network, but do you value it in the same way as if you want to buy something? Because before you buy something, you got to afford it.
Yeah.
If you can't afford it, what are you doing there?
That's not a question enough people ask themselves, really.
Yeah.
Why am I buying this £25,000 car? Can I afford this £25,000 car?
Yeah, choice.
But I think that's where we actually have more power is in purchasing.
Yeah.
We have more power in purchasing where we choose to spend our money, how often we choose to spend, how much we choose to spend, and how what format the currency is or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think if people take us more seriously that way, they'll take us more seriously the other way too when it comes to employing us or giving us the opportunities to do things. Because
what I've noticed, there's a lot of brothers, and I say our community, there's a lot of rich people, but we don't have generational wealth. That's the thing. People are not, it's not like we're supposed to be shown how to do it, but if we don't navigate and actually teach the youth as to what you need to do to, one, maintain, and two, proceed for the generation after you, then we're always going to be short of where we need to be in terms of wealth as such. Because it's not necessarily monetary wealth, but just making sure that what you have in love is also matched with the token of money ain't got owners, just spenders.
It's very true.
So it's one of those. It is one of those that people, I think, should take in consideration.
Do you know what though? I feel like you were saying we haven't developed it yet. I think we were on our way as a community, as a group. Black people, especially black people from Caribbean families who came over here in the 50s and 60s in this country. We were on our way to actually establishing how to keep our money, how to save our money, how to put in together to earn something, like buying houses together as a community and things like that. Have our own kind of not borrowing money to get things. Everyone's grandma, like no one's grandparents who come from Jamaica and live here had credit cards when they come here, but yet they all managed to get. A lot of them managed to get on the property ladder. They all managed to cook food, stay together, entertain themselves. You know, they all managed to find partners without having to spend loads of money to attract people. So how did they do it? Because it got lost. You
know, technically, that Windrush generation came to what they called of the UK, the mother country, and this is after the Second World War. So when they're picking up all the dead jobs that people don't want to do, we're coming over thinking, oh yeah, opportunity, and then you come to find out that you get more oppression to coming over here rather than just being in your country, where it could be your comfort zone is you being in your community. You're stepping out into the unknown, trying to do better and save better for your family, and then come to find out it's 10 times worse than you had back at home. You know?
So they're kind of forced to their own community in a way. I mean, it's kind of like we see that going on now with the immigrants in this country now. The oppression is so deep from everybody on the outside, you know. All the British people are saying, you're over here taking our jobs. Just what they said to our people. That they stick to themselves. They don't mix with us because it's not safe. Do you know what I mean? We didn't mix with them because it wasn't desirable to mix with people when 1 out of 10 ain't going to respect you or want you there. But also, it's not safe. Them teddy boys and all them coming for you, that ain't safe. So I spend my money with my people. But now I feel like it's just as there's still a risk there, I think, to us completely investing our time and our culture with everybody else and feeling safe. I still think there's a risk there. And that risk is no longer violence or overt racism, but it's a risk of losing everything we had. The more time we spend outside, the more interested we become in everything else apart from our core where we started. You know? And I think that's for a large segment of our community, we're kind of losing that sense of self that our grandparents had. They didn't have the monetary things, but they definitely had a sense of self.
I think what happened is, before, when we were separated, we had no choice, as I was saying before, and now it's more integrated where, okay, someone that don't look like you try to get on with them, and you're not trying to see as pull the race card. But essentially, you have to have some type of core stability in your community, at least be connected to it, because at the end of the day, right, they're the people that understand the struggle you go through. You know, it's someone that looks like you can relate to better to rather than somebody that don't look like you.
Can relate, and every culture does it. Italians are going to go home to their community and speak to their fellow Italians.
In their language. And this is the thing, we don't have the language to actually be... Because we're like, it seems to be, English seems to be most of our first language.
Oh, in England, yeah.
Yeah, in the mother tongue. But, you know, before they say, what do you speak? You don't really hear people say Swahili or they're from this country or that. They don't really hear that. But it's one of those, what I'm trying to put is, the thing is, we've become so pulled and divided that we don't even know ourselves as to who we really are, and just the magnetism between a black woman and a black man is something that needs to be considered with just being ourselves. And I think it's been shied away where we put on the mask and go out to work every day, but sometimes eventually you got to take that mask off and be real with your family at some point. There are people that have shied away from who they are to give the impression that they're successful. So they trade who they are for someone else that looks like they're trying to go up and above.
I always wonder, well, what is it that when you start to get so high that you shed yourself from where you came from? And do other cultures do that? When they become successful, do they shed their original community to emulate or to try and be like the culture that's at the top? Because we certainly do.
It's true. I think at some point it becomes this theory of crabs in a bucket. We're trying to fight to be seen. Like you only get one that is going to be the top. You don't really get a shared bunch where, okay, you're good at your field. This one's good at sports. This one's good at entertainment. And, all collaborate together to get something. Literally, you think about how many the billions and billions of pounds, billions of dollars that have passed through our hands. If we actually, kept it in economically in our community, we could literally do for ourselves.
Yeah.
But that's not the choice. Before it stays in our hand, it's already gone to the next person, and the person don't even live in the community. They just collect that bundle and just be on their way. There's got to be some type of stance to be like, okay, if you really put a tenner one every week and let it sit and don't touch it, by the end of the year, couple bags. So, it's not a thing that we can't do it. It's just that we don't have the engineered education or the financial outlook to think, okay, I could do this.
Do you know what? I got to disagree. I'm not 100% on what you said there, because I don't think it's necessarily about the discipline or the know-how. It's the distraction. I think a big part of it is the distraction.
Which part? Us being consumers?
The way we're distracted from the goal. We don't know what the goal is. We think the goal, especially under 30-year-old people. Yeah. Under 30-year-old black people nowadays are distracted by the bag. They're distracted by the image. Like the black image is sold to us. There's only one. There's not with young white people, they're sold several images of themselves. And one of those images is like the hip hop type of got the Gucci bag person. But that's just one of several images, right? Every so often a kid will go that route. But we've got one image sold to us. Entertainer with money and shiny things. So when you're trying to put your money aside to do something, you're like, hold on, let me just go and buy that bottle that I saw Jay-Z with this weekend, because I got enough for it now. That's what I do, right? I'm going to go and buy the bottle. And it's not until you get to an age where it's quite late in the game, like 30, that you start to think, hold on, I need some things now. I need some security now. I need things for my family now. But little did you know, your counterparts you went to school with were buying property when they're 19, 20. I'm looking for people that look like me in positions everywhere, not just on the television, in the doctor's surgery, in the garage, working on my car, whatever. But when you look around and the only person you see is Busta Rhymes or someone buying jewelry from Jacob, you think, wow, what clothes are they wearing? How did they get that? And you become distracted. It's very difficult. So I do think we do have the urge. We're just humans. We're all the same. We have the urge to want to build something, but sometimes we're being distracted and pulled away from that. And I don't think it's a mistake that the only image that we see of ourselves is that image.
But just to bring it on, you was talking about sports and entertainment. I mean, did you see the connect the dot? Like the physical undertone is that we're only successful in sports and entertainment largely as
that's what's shown,
as black people. But it's not to say that it doesn't apply to all fields of work. I'm just saying that, like, at the moment, the biggest or the most famous seem to be from that kind of place.
Yeah, but when you actually look at it, like you said, actually the most successful people in entertainment and sports aren't black. If you add them all up over history, even the last 20 years, they're not, right? The people who have made the most financial gains and whatnot, and maybe even had the most success in terms of sports winning things. Across all sports, are probably not, but but they're not pushed that image all the time, are they? No. This is your people. It's Black History Month this month, and I was really pleasantly surprised in Ipswich to see that we're celebrating a photographer, a black photographer who lives in Ipswich, but was the first black Fleet Street photographer, and his images are put up around the town. And he's taking pictures of successful black people in all fields, not just in sports. They've got sports, they've got Lewis Hamilton, they've got an entertainer, they've got a boxer, they've got a model, but then they also got like a doctor, a surgeon, they've got other things on there as well, which is nice to see. And I think hopefully we'll start to see that image more, and then that will inspire my son or your child to look at that and think, oh, there's something else I can do.
Have you seen Black Pound Day? It's founded by Swiss from So Solid. It's a day where they talk about, well, the basis is to spend the money only in the black businesses for a day only. Just only in our community as such.
One day a year.
Well, it's supposed to be currently run every month.
Okay.
You know, not too long ago there was one this month, but essentially the basis is us to actually do for self without necessarily needing other influences. And it's just one of those that I think if people are understood about it, they would understand that they don't necessarily need somebody else to dictate what they can and can't do. And like I said, the power of choice is, like, as we're talking right now, there's people that have gone through all types of treatment in terms of, we talk about lockdown and the uncertainty of medication.
Vaccination.
There are natural ways to actually keep yourself in good stead.
Yeah.
But if people don't shed light on it, or if they're not made aware of it, then it just goes swept under the carpet. What do you think about John Boyega and his stance?
Yeah, I love John Boyega. We spoke about him the other day on the pod, actually, briefly. But I remember when I first saw John Boyega on the Black Stormtrooper ad. Do you remember that when it came out?
Yeah.
And he pops his head up in the screen and was like, "Oh my God, it's a black man, Stormtrooper."
Yeah.
And I never watched Star Wars to that day. Never. No. So that just goes to show you, first of all, like, if you want people to be involved in your brand, you need to have them on there, regardless. If you want Chinese people, put Chinese people in there. But yeah, so I saw him and I was like, okay, what's going on? They've got a black person in Star Wars, all right. He's British. Yeah. Oh, okay, that got me more interested. Then I started to find out what he's about and following him on social media, and I was like, oh, he's really a black British guy. Yeah. Because, you know, you can have people who are just happy to be there, like most of us would be. Like, I won't speak for you, but a lot of people would be happy to get the contract, to get the deal. Yeah. Disney have offered me a deal. I'm a small British actor. I will do whatever you want. I will play the game.
Yeah. I mean, it's unapologetic for what he comes from. And especially the place of London he's from. It's also...
From South, isn't he?
Yeah, Peckham.
Right.
And his folks knew Damalola Taylor.
All right, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he really, really is a person that is close to what we call, what do we say? I don't say the struggle, but just how it is. So I think that with at least what he's doing, and it's started to creep out, where you got people like Stormzy, and you've got John Boyega, Dave has made a tune celebrating his blackness and all that. I think it's coming a case where people are becoming unapologetically black, and it's one of those where right now it seems to be now or never, because it's okay playing the game, but at some point you've got to keep it real with your people. Yeah. And it's one of those where essentially, what is the legacy you leave behind by doing something? If you don't stand for something, he's gonna die for nothing.
Do you know what I think? Because Dave and Stormzy and Skepta and Jeremy and all those guys are representing, and they're doing it their way. Yeah. However, they're in an industry where that's not expected, but that's accepted. Like, black people in music, going all the way back to kind of blues and jazz. Yeah. Will speak their minds and try their hardest to be who they are, and that's the appeal to everyone. Like, not just black people. Yeah. Everyone sees a person who's not afraid to represent their culture and themselves and speak their mind and share it as attractive. That's attractive. I'm attracted to other races and cultures that do that too. I'm like, wow, you're true to yourself. And in music, it's attractive. Yeah. However, in the Hollywood system, it's unheard of. Yeah. So for John Boyega to be like that and to be on his Twitter and Instagram and just bark back to people is brave. Yeah. He's working, I don't think he's in contract with Disney anymore, but he was working with Disney at the time. Yeah. He was at Carnival. Did you see the Carnival thing?
No, I haven't seen that, no.
So he was at Carnival on his Insta, and he was dancing with one of the ladies from one of the floats. Yeah. And people tried to cancel him. They were like, you're disrespecting women and you shouldn't be dancing with these women like this. And he just got on and he was defending it. And he's saying, look, this is our culture. This is what we do every year. This is our carnival. This is how we dance. Yeah. And at the end of the day, what he was saying, he didn't say it in so many words, but it was like, it's because I'm dancing with black women that you're offended. As a black man, you expect me to still be with my community. and he just was going at it. And at the same time, he's in this Disney kind of kids princess film or whatever it is, Star Wars, sci-fi film, but he's still being who he is and not worried about losing that contract or losing that opportunity because he feels that's more important. And to a degree, I think he has that thing that a lot of us don't have. He believes in his talent and he believes in his ability to go and get it another way. Like if this opportunity's gone, I'll seek another direction. Probably the way he's raised, he knows his ability to move on. And more recently, he left that advertising company, didn't he? The marketing company.
Yes, the Chinese one.
So what happened is he was part of a company. I think it might be a perfume company or something like that, a brand, and he's an ambassador for the brand, and I think his role in the brand was to market it with his image, and so he came up with the marketing campaign for a particular advert, and he based it around his culture, as he always does. He got his family in there, wearing traditional dress, and it was about the story of his life and how he grew up, this kind of advert, and then he ends in him like getting the product or something like that. Anyway, they go to market this around the world, and they use his image until it gets to China. And then the marketing team take his whole advert and just put a Chinese person in it with the Chinese family and traditional culture and just replace him. And he finds out once the campaign's been launched that they've replaced him. The ambassador took his idea and replaced him with someone because they didn't say this, but obviously it's because they don't think that black people are going to sell in China. And we've always had that image, right? Black people don't work in these regions. What does that do for your confidence? Most actors are going to think, oh no, they're right, I'm not going to mess with them. But John Boyega, again, he's like, do you know what? Social media's helped him because he's got a following, but good on him.
I think it's great to see that he's taken it the route he has, because I'd see that Hollywood has turned people out where they've used your talent for their gains. And what do you get out of it? What deal do you get? Do they take you for someone that is just property to them, or can you be exploited that way? Do you value yourself to think, okay, I understand what I've signed as to what I've got into, what in turn is the legacy I leave behind? Because I'm sure in years to come he'll think that was just part of who he's become. That's the fabric of who he is.
Here's a question for you.
Go.
Do you think a successful black footballer, musician, entertainer, someone in the public eye, should bear the responsibility of representing the whole race politically and to be outspoken?
That's the thing. It's a hard one. Only because I know they didn't want to be seen as a role model, but with responsibility, they have to be aware that there are people that watch them, whether they like it or not.
But is that fair? Is that fair to expect that from, the dude who's just kicked ball and is now famous for it? Like, because he's seen himself as the same as his other 10 teammates. It's
true, but at the same time, what does he look back on when behind closed doors? Who is he behind closed doors? It's okay for he doesn't have, the other people don't have to jump through many hoops the way he has. He still has to go through some type of program or some type of ladder for him to get where he wants.
Are there other ways to pay it back? Because you can, I think you can, I think the most powerful way to pay it back is with your voice and with your image and putting your time into things. But as I was just saying, some people, like maybe footballers or entertainers, might not see themselves as that. Is there another way they can pay it back other than being, verbal and being seen?
Yeah. Just maintaining that relationship with the community. I think that would be fundamental for them to be taken as a person that is, maybe not the word hero is the right word, but to be seen as somebody that is of the community and of the organization of the community. Because it's okay that you have that home support, but then when you make it, you decide to just kind of cut yourself off. What is the legacy of, because it's not, okay, you moved out, but your family's still around.
Yeah.
So what happens
there?
And
you see that as well. I'm sure you see that a lot in London as well.
Yeah,
like people
yeah.
who've got cousins who are this and that and the other. And you think, but it goes back to, are we expecting too much of individuals? Do we expect too much of the individual that's made it perhaps quarter of the way on their journey to then hurry up and kind of support everyone else or represent for everyone else? When really, they're probably feeling, I'm not there yet, and I don't want to tread on anyone's toes, and I don't want to make people feel
But at the same token, it needs to be seen that what you do is not necessarily of yourself, because it takes a village to raise a child. Now the child becomes of success. You represent that village as such. And going forward, with that name or with that people, that association of whatever club or whatever field of endeavor you try to work and prosper in, you represent somebody, whether it's seen or not taken into full consideration. People are not. Hindsight is 20/20. You got hindsight, foresight, insight, and at some point you got to figure out like, what do you want to see? Like this, what ifs? Do you turn what ifs into what is? Them kind of things. Like, it's our experience being black is quite different to anyone else in the other community, because we have to, before you step out the door, you know that, okay, us being a black man, you might get this conundrum happen to you, but it's only the missus that really kind of knows what's going on as such, you know, because you could put your shield down when you're home.
We try to make ourselves acceptable to everyone and non-threatening to everyone else.
Yeah, this is the thing. That's the thing right there. We're trying to be non-threatening to everybody else, but we turning ourselves out of ourselves.
Yeah.
Because I'm naturally not threatening to nobody as long as no one don't threaten me. But I gotta explain, I gotta prove myself more than anything else, where someone else can, you know, the bodyguard will, the security man will follow me before you check the man that's already in the aisle and dipping and gone. He thinks I did it.
Not my identity, but I do feel like my personality is being suppressed sometimes because I don't want people to feel like I'm a threat.
Yeah.
And I know when I'm around my people who I choose to be with, I'm the least threatening person. Yeah. Because they know who I am. Yeah. But I know when I get into that scenario, and then if I'm to be exactly who I am, and at times when I feel I need to speak up, I speak up. Sometimes we don't have that freedom of expression, that fear of being, you know, judged, excluded.
Yeah. This is the thing. We have to work harder to be seen as non-threatening than anything else, as you were saying. But
it slips out sometimes.
It slips out sometimes. You have to balance it at some point.
Yeah.
You can't be 95% this way and 5% that way. Yeah. It has to be some order in the chaos.
There's only one real solution though. Like we're talking about contracts and being part of someone's organisation.
Yeah.
There's only one real solution, and that's to be the organisation.
Yeah.
You be the organisation. You establish the culture.
Just understanding that us as people, we are the people that have been taken out of our home and have been surfaced around all over the world, but yet when we try and get back to ourselves and return back home and be our inner blackness, it's a problem for everybody else.
But I hope it's Black History Month this month, October 2020.
Yeah.
And in the UK, that's Black History Month, which is strange because it's February in America, but that's another thing.
Yeah.
I feel like
we'll talk about that later. Yeah.
I feel like this year we're gonna have a better Black History Month, because every year I feel let down by Black History Month.
Yeah.
It's on the television and they'll play a slave movie normally or something like that, and the BBC will do a few things and a few other people will do a few things, and it's cool. You know, they put them on late at night. But already this year, because they're scared of backlash, because now Black Lives Matter movement and people being more alert, and actually not just black people pushing for it, companies are starting to represent a bit. Like Sainsbury's sent me a text the other day, sent me an email saying, black people are so important to us and we're going to honour them this Black History Month. And I didn't read the whole email, but I thought, oh, okay, so this year, 2020, you now realise we've got a Black History Month. But sometimes it takes that to push these organisations, however. You know, but I hope there'll be more positive things this year, because there are always organisations trying to do things for Black History Month, especially in this small town where I'm from.
Yeah.
But they don't always get access to venues, access to money and whatnot. And it already looks like the movements force people to recognise.
I've seen Royal Mail. They've got 4 different post boxes painted in black to commemorate Black History Month. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. They've got a couple. There's one in Brixton. There's one in Ireland. One in Scotland, and I think Wales. Can't be sure. Okay. But they got 4 different ones. But those kind of things are kind of looking like the aftermath of Black Lives Matter, and it looks like, okay, and it's seen as, okay, we're not like them. We just want to be we just want to be seen as in the good light rather than just everybody else.
Let them do it. Black History Month 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. Yeah. I'll be impressed. But also, it's Black History Month. It's not Black Badge Month. Yeah. So the Royal Mail, I don't know what else there. Maybe there's a campaign behind it. But if it's just that, they're just painting these black, then it's just like putting a sticker on your Facebook page, isn't it? It don't mean nothing. What's the history you're teaching? Maybe talk about the history of Black people within the Royal Mail. What was our role when we came over or before? You know, how did we help if we were involved? Yeah. That would be interesting. I think education institutions, schools, colleges, universities, to try and really work it into curriculum. I think that's the answer. Yeah. Because at the moment, the way it is organisations are, if they want to do something, they're allowed. You can do it if you want. Yeah. There's no push. There's no curriculum. There's not even an email that goes around that says, this is what you need to do, like with other things that happen. So maybe that could be the next step. And just don't make it slavery.
This is the thing, because there are people that are adamant that slavery was the start of how we came into existence in the West. No, I'm looking at the UK, and I'm looking, how is the UK that small? Yeah. And you got the size of Africa, right? Yeah. That allegedly can't look after themselves. Yeah. Because the UK is so minute compared to the size of Africa. Africa is wide and vast, and the UK is so particular miniature. And you think to yourself, your empire started from that, and you control this?
But it's down to, you can knock a giant out if he's not looking.
It's true. Because we the only, I don't want to say the fools, but we are the people that have traded a continent for islands. Yeah. And you look at it thinking, what was the better deal? What they got or what we got?
Exactly.
But it's one of those where I don't think people want to talk about it at some point.
Why? What people don't want to talk about it? I think
the benefactors.
And you know what? I think like it's now coming down to big money organizations and people that want to keep their money. The common folk who are not black are actually quite interested to learn. Yeah. People who like history. Like in school, the people who loved history. My son loves history. Yeah. He loves everyone's history. You teach him anyone's history, he loves it. Yeah. They'd love to hear our history. They'd love to be educated about what happened to us and where we're from. It's not going to harm them if they learn that. It's anything you learn is going to give you more opportunity and more options, more avenues. It's going to harm the people that are maintaining the status quo. They're the people that don't want to put it into curriculums and whatnot. Yeah. But it's going to lead me on to this website. Have you seen this website, The True Size Of?
No, I haven't seen that, no.
Oh my God. Check it out. Yeah, so it's called The True Size Of. And I think it's some students made it, or someone, he kind of asked himself, what are the real sizes of these countries and continents? Because the maps are created by the people that create them.
They're accurate.
So they're not accurate. And so it's funny, what you can do is you can drag, like for example, I've got Greenland here. I don't know how well it works on the iPad. With a mouse, you can drag like Greenland over the continent of Africa, for example. It shows you the true size in relation to it, and it shrinks down like this. It's tiny, small. Wow. You can drag England or the United Kingdom over certain countries in Africa, and it's like nothing, doesn't exist, know. You can drag the whole of North America over Africa, and it's tiny. But But, you know, these maps are shown to us every day as if they are what things really look like.
Yeah.
And, but, you know, they were made up and have changed over years, you know, over centuries. And it's all about power and influence. And we've never made one of these commercial maps. So, you know, the representation is going to be skewed.
There's a guy called America Vespucci. That's how America was named after him. And one of those where when people talk about America, it is one of those where if people understand the bloodshed and the war of how America came to be in existence, because, you know, it started from 13 colonies, for those that don't know, but essentially America, you know, is all comes back to the British Empire at some point.
Yeah.
And then when people kind of start dotting as to what they've kind of conquered, because people look at the word Commonwealth, just break that word down. Commonwealth.
There's I'm going to kill myself for not knowing his name, but there's someone I was watching, and he's an African educator, and he's talking about the British Empire.
Yeah.
And he's saying, you know, we're sold the British Empire is like it was all friendly and everyone was happy to be part of the empire.
David Elasuga?
No.
Oh.
Everyone's happy to be part of the empire, but he was like, well, it's like everything else. Just think about it logically. Like over the time, I think Britain, the empire was over like 80% of the world at different times altogether, right?
Yeah.
And he's saying, what countries are going to allow a foreigner to come in and say, we're going to let you earn some of what your land is worth, you know, and you're going to be happy, and you're going to be part of us now, and we're going to take a percentage of what you earn, and we're going to split the rest of you. Is that okay? Like, what country is going to say, yeah, even the nicest country, the country that has got the best intentions for everyone, is not going to agree with that, right? There's going to be force involved in that. It's never going to be good for anyone on the other side of that. So how is that something that we should celebrate and sing songs about? And, you know, in England we've got this Royal Britannia kind of business about we should be singing it, but when you think about the other side of the song, it's not good for anybody, even the people of this country. In a way, it's not good for. It's good for the people that run it, you know. And at the moment, we would not celebrate a pharmaceutical company that's killing millions of people and like sing songs for them. Essentially, they're doing the same thing, right?
To a deeper level, these pharmaceutical companies have privatized the prison system for their benefit, and at least in America, it's classed as free labor as such. Basically,
you seen the 13th documentary
on Netflix? Not yet.
That's the only thing I know about the 13th Amendment. But
it's scary because, well, you're a slave to the system as to what they can and can't do. Yeah,
because the amendment says something. Well, paraphrasing, it says no one's allowed to be slaves, but the amendment says unless they're property of the state, unless they're prison or whatever. So then the laws come in that unfairly imprison Black Americans, and so they, And she was saying, if you look at this, if you got to watch it, it's Ava DuVernay, the director, brilliant director. And the people she's talking to are saying they had the numbers, and they're like, there are more people in prison population they can now than everywhere in slavery.
And how is it like we could be 20% of that population, but 80% of the jail population?
I think if I lived especially in one of those southern states in America, I think I would have migrated back home. I'd have been in somewhere in West Africa now. I don't think Americans in general, white or black or other, are shown enough about the world. They when I've gone there, Americans don't leave America a lot. You know, their passport percentage is very low. And with that, it's almost like a bit of a prison, and they don't realise the rest of the world's out there. There's there was a short piece somewhere about Americans now leaving America, Black Americans leaving America and going back to the homeland, to Ghana for some reason.
That year of return? Year of return, isn't it? Year of return? Something like that. I think it's in Ghana, isn't it?
Go back to Ghana. And there's one woman they're interviewing, it struck me because she's my mum's age, and she's like, I never knew that Black people out here living and thriving.
I think I've seen
my
that,
whole life. And I was like,
that's
crazy. They're not showing that image, are they? So,
no.
And they, most people will get their imagery from television, not from books, not from, they're not getting information from that country. It's television from the country that is keeping them there. It's funny, right? Do you think Americans, I think I know the answer, but do you think Americans, if they could rewind time, would have taken West African slaves if they knew that one day they'd have to let them be free and live in the country as equals?
Nope. Not a long shot, because at some point that whole thing was only based on saving the Union, because for those that don't know, the Union was based on in the South. They've got a lot of states, and the divide was the North and the South. The Washington's in the North. The South is where it controls the Senate, and it's the Senate that controls the country, and hence how the president is the face of the Senate.
Right.
But cut a long story short, Lincoln made that decision where he was trying to save the Union between North and South, because there's such a divide. That Civil War happened around that time, and what stopped it was him saying, "I'm saving the Union first." But the undertone was of slavery, but they still got paid at the end of the day. The slave didn't get paid as compensation.
I thought Lincoln just cared about the black people.
Nah, it's not that. It's not that. Nah, not by a long shot. But enough said. I think people don't really see it as what it is, because, in Britain, in slavery, as people do know, the compensation was given to the slave owners, and the slave owners were wise enough or thoughtful enough to think, okay, we're going to use this money, and hence how they've built the banks off our backs. So if people really take the time to see, the banks have been made off slavery, and the benefactors have everything to still be, to this day, everything's built on the banking system and the slavery.
Do you know what's deep, right? And this is how I know it's gone too far.
Mm-hmm.
The bank stuff is not a secret.
No, it's not.
It's not. And I keep referencing the BBC.
Yeah.
And I know there's other outlets out there,
mm-hmm.
and there's, different levels of reliability and trust. But
yeah.
the BBC investigated that. I think it was on a Panorama
mm-hmm.
about slavery and money and where the money's gone. And the segment was about the banks.
Mm-hmm.
And it had someone from, it may have been HSBC, and they were talking about, how their history is in,
mm-hmm.
where the money has come from.
Mm-hmm.
The slave owners, and they were
Yeah.
part of the bank and part of the board or whatever.
Yeah.
And all they said was, we apologise, we understand our history is unfortunate, and we'll do more to include black people in our banks at all levels from now on.
Mm.
So what they were saying is, we were built on your backs, but you can come and work for us. Like that on the telly, they weren't scared that anything could happen to them. They weren't worried or concerned about the ethics of what happened or about their future. They were just like, we'll come get a job. Yeah. Like they could have said it like that. The meaning is the same,
Yeah. But this is the thing, because does that show you how little we are considered in that department as to in morals of, okay, the sins of the father pass on to the sons. Do you get reparations for that? Okay, it may not happen directly, but as your ancestors owned my peoples, do you get anything out of that? Very little. How do you influence the tomorrow if today you're doing something you're not supposed to?
All they're going to do is watch you, right?
That's it.
They're going to learn from you, and it's crazy. It feels like we're in an age where we've got much more opportunity than anyone has lived before us.
Mm-hmm.
But that choice and those amount of avenues that you can go down, they're paralyzing.
Yeah.
And we're paralyzed, and we don't make any choice. But we have all these options to make income through different ways, and to go to different careers, go to different countries, learn different specialisms.
Mm.
But a lot of us end up just getting paralyzed by the amount of noise.
It is. It's true. It's
crazy.
true. But then, where does it come to the importance of having some type of mentor to steer you in that direction?
That's what I'm saying. We need that funnel, the focus.
Yeah.
A mentor.
Yeah.
A representative.
Yeah. Especially the male mentors. I mean, because dare I say, the head of the household is essentially the guy as such to, most households. Can't say for everybody because everyone's got their own annotation. But I'm saying that at least for the guy, the black male, it needs to be seen that a mentor is there to be holding strong, because it's okay to believe the hype, but behind closed doors, who are you really? Because you could get pulled in this way and that way, but essentially you could be broke within 2 weeks of you doing something like signing a contract. And then what do? What happens then? Where's the plan B or the plan C? Where's that?
I think lockdown is showing people they need a plan B and a plan C.
Yeah. Even a plan D, but yeah.
It's real now. You know what I mean? It's real I think we're really, a lot of people are looking inwards now and seeing how they can work with people that are near them to make money rather than going to other people.
Yeah.
So in some ways, and I'm telling you, in less ways than it should be, but in some ways, the lockdown is making people start to think for self about, their own wealth and their own health and their own communities.
Yeah. It's okay to want to treat yourself, but at the same token, do you have your priorities in order? Like the bills, you can't be buying no big car if you ain't got no house. It don't make sense. You don't, how is it, think about it. How do people play Monopoly so good, but they don't know how to play the real game of Monopoly? What is that about?
It's crazy, because we don't have restraint. We don't have restraint. Well, we have restraint, but our restraint is tested all the time.
Yeah.
Like your restraint is tested so much that it's entrapment almost.
Yeah.
Like you are being sold something all the time, like without even knowing it. And it's being catered to you. It's being catered to your perceived culture. Mm-hmm. And it's repeating. It's coming at you every day, all the time. And if you're young, you're susceptible, you have no focus, no person telling you, yo, there's another way.
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're 18 and that letter lands on your door and it says, do you want a credit card? And you're like...
the word loan. That word loan, innit? Yeah. See? That word loan, borrow, credit and debit. Understand, people. Credit comes with the word interest. Debit is you pay the bill. That is it.
Did you learn that in school?
Well, no, not directly, no. I had to find out through my folks. That's how it goes. If you can't afford it, don't buy it, Gav. Seriously, because there's no way you can think it's going to be okay for you to be in debt. And that's how the game is going. These
TV shows like Can't Pay, Take It Away, or any police show that you see are there to present a certain side of things to get people on, or to catch people unawares. I mean, they're just doing a job, and that's what they'll say.
Yeah.
And they are. But they're part of a bigger system, and they're doing a bigger job for a crooked bank or smaller company that knew you couldn't afford to borrow that amount of money in the first place, like a Bright House company or someone like that. You know?
Yeah.
But they gave you the money anyway because they knew the result.
Yeah.
So they're just doing a job, but they're part of. You got to look at the system sometimes, and I think a lot of the time we are steered into focusing on the individual.
Yeah.
So you can blame an individual or forgive an individual. They're part of a bigger system that's made to keep poor people in debt.
Yeah. But I believe also just being molded in that education, because I believe I've learned more outside of school than when I was in school. Just because they don't necessarily teach you how to deal with money and how to save and how to be financially astute as to what you're going to be coming across as you get older. Because you leave at 16, but 16 is still very vulnerable. Between 16 and 21, that's a lot of manhood that's coming through.
Yeah.
I
think perhaps, because now you have to stay in education till you're 18, right?
I think so, yeah.
You stay in school and you have to be in education or training until you're 18. So you could go and get an apprenticeship, or it's probably not left right now, or stay in education. I think they should maybe do something where it's mandatory for 2 years to have, real world experience learning. So learning about how to pay taxes, how to work for yourself, how to work with finance, how to pay an electric bill, all those kind of basic things that you think your parents would teach you, but not everyone's parents might not know that themselves.
Yeah. So what do you take it down to? Because some people will kind of dismiss it and say, oh yeah, if you got a problem, you say to yourself, oh, I can't afford it. Whereas someone else's mind state will think, how can I afford it?
Yeah. So they're problem solvers, right?
Yeah.
Problem solvers are normally the people that create opportunities for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But problem solvers are also normally the people that understand there are choices.
Mm-hmm.
People who have that closed mindset, you've got a growth mindset,
yeah,
and a fixed mindset.
Yeah.
And in kind of financial situations, people who have a fixed mindset have got that, because fixed mindset means, well, that's the way things have always been.
Yeah.
So that's what my mum had to do, that's what my dad had to do. Whereas growth mindset, they'd be like, yeah, but I've seen people in this situation before and they went this way, or they navigated that way. So they start thinking, but there must be more ways. How can I work out my way out of this?
Yeah.
So it goes back to choices being inherited. Then
so from the home, you're saying?
At the moment, but what I'm saying is that way of thinking should be given to young people when they're 16 to 18.
Should be.
That will even the playing field out. So it will ensure that those people that didn't get it at home now have it.
You really need to understand, like, your life is your own, because what is the legacy you leave behind? And I talk legacy a lot because people are more in the now. They're not really looking like what's going to happen next week, or how does it affect you next month or the next year as such. I don't think people are that forward thinking, but I'm just trying to bring it into light as to what people, at least with this lockdown, need to really consider. Because remember, the lockdown started, right? And people really understood that they couldn't work with certain things. Like all the luxuries had to go. They had to work with the essentials. You had the supermarket open. That was it. You didn't have nothing else to work with. So coming out of that, do you consider that, food and drink is really essential? Even the thing like toilet paper. Toilet paper went in like 2 days flat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you'd be waiting at delivery, just hunting down for toilet paper. I don't think people are ever going to get this time to actually manually reset their whole life.
Nah.
Not like this again.
No.
Like 3 months to really look and divulge and really get to the nitty-gritty of what is actually essential. What do you need compared to what you want? And those are the power of choice that I think people need to actually consider. It's unfortunate, but essentially, what is the essentials? Because the choice is now yours.
I think that's a good way to wrap it up.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to everybody. Take care.
Peace.